There we go. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Hey, there we go. Alrighty, folks. Glad to see you. Excited for this evening. What's going on, everybody? What's going on? I saw Alyssa in here first with the micro Leons. That was nice to see. What up, Alyssa? How y'all doing? Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. All right. The question of the day that I would love for you to answer in chat, please, is would you rather be a superhero or a wizard? The Beast, thank you. Zia the Beast, thank you. That's 2 months in a row. Wow, thank you for the Prime sub. Thank you very much. Well, I'm seeing a wall here. Wow, it's a lot of wizards. I'm all like, I say this a lot, but I'm always kind of surprised by what we wind up with. But yeah, it's overwhelmingly wizard. Yeah, I'm a wizard too. I think I'd go with a wizard. Now, see, the thing is, you get to pick what superhero you are. Hey, Cookie Codes, thank you for the gifted sub. Appreciate that. You get to pick what superhero you are, but I like the idea of like wizards are real. Then like there's this whole other world that we don't know about. It feeds into my Harry Potter kind of obsession. So yeah, I think I would go with wizard as well. And that seems kind of overwhelming. Kalta says, superheroes die, wizards are forever. Some of y'all are extrapolating if there's wizards, that means there's dragons. I love it. Look what words. Hey, thank you for the sub. Already a hype train. Jeez. Welcome, everyone. As always, thank you for the subbing, the donating, the cheering. That's all a donation to the nonprofit I work at during the day. So I appreciate you all, especially the folks that have been using the. I looked at the Twitch primes that people did last stream, spending all of Jeff Bezos's money. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'm really excited to make that. It was gonna be a sizable donation to Resilient Coders. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you all for being here. All right. Got a lot of fun stuff tonight, folks. A lot of review, a lot of hands-on practice with CSS and HTML. Hey, thank you for that. Can't see that one. Ipica 5W, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate that. Lots of fun stuff tonight. Lots of review, lots of hands-on practice. We're going to hint at responsiveness. But as always, want to let folks get in here for a few seconds. And so I'm going to switch over to little Leon, and I'll answer questions for a little bit just to get folks in here. A whole lot of vomit. Let's get lit. I love it. That's hilarious. Rudy Hernandez, hey, I appreciate you. Thank you for the sub. It's a level 2 hype train. One of these days we're going to figure out what all this means, but hey, I appreciate it. All right. Crafty Sheep, hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. So for those that are new or might not have been here before, if you want to follow along, you can do ! slides to get the slides that we're going to walk through today. If you want the materials, Dumic13, thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the gifted sub. I always appreciate the gifted subs. I really do. Wait a second. Holy smokes. Cicerate, thank you. 10 gifted subs. What? Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Y'all too much. Y'all too much. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Well, thank you. So if you're new here, ! slides to get the slides. If you want the materials, like all the code that we'll be using, all the practice problems, ! Discord and chat will get you into our Discord community. Agree to the rules. Once you agree to the rules, you unlock all the channels, and there's a follow along materials channel that you can jump into and get all the materials that we're going to need. Typically it's just a zip file, so you can just go ahead and download that zip file and be good. All right. Let's give folks a few more seconds to get in here. Looking for questions. Be sure to do a walk through the slides now. # Barbara Oakley. I love that. 700 days. MPF Dev, what are you drinking today? I am drinking nice cold water in my fancy Starbucks cup. So I put it in the freezer before I start it, so it's nice and cold. Beyonce, will we go over the class 3 lab? Yes, we're going to go over it. During office hours, which are this Saturday. Saturday is office hours. There we go. Oh, cat with the cat always, once she finds out it's water, she's game. She's like, all right, Leon's drinking water, I'm in. Hydrate. Cheers to you, cat. Appreciate you. Brian 2 said, Leon, I've never heard of preprocessors before today. How common is it using those? Very common. Preprocessors are kind of enables you to add kind of extra features to CSS, basically. A little bit more programmatic features to CSS, makes it a little bit more comfortable to write, makes it a little bit easier to kind of manage larger CSS code bases. So they're popular. We will cover some way later in the course. Once we kind of get into full stack web development, we'll come back and learn a few. All right. So a few more questions. We're going to jump into it. Excited to have y'all. Once again, if you need the slides, exclamation point slides, that's what we'll be going through today. Exclamation point Discord if you want the materials in the follow along materials channel. Onad said, Leon, will you be my friend? Of course, I'll be your friend. Hey, Alyssa, thank you for the gifted sub. Aw, stop it, y'all. Cool. There we go. Alyssa, I'm already your friend. No worries. I should have the thank you for learning how to learn as my wake up alarm. There you go. Ooh, Chaz, please ask a great question. How did you get this Mew? It was either 1997 or 1998. I went to one of the very first Pokemon. They are talking about, I'm an owner of a non-hack Gen 1 Mew. I went to one of the very first tournaments for Pokemon in North America, and they were giving out, this was before, it was even before the Toys R Us one. They were giving out, when you went to the tournament, if you're one of the first 100 folks, they would put a Mew onto your red or blue cartridge, and they gave you a certificate of authenticity, like that they signed. And so I still have the certificate, and I have the original cartridge with the Mew on it. I replaced the battery before going to the event, so the battery has lasted a long time, and I have it backed up on a flash cartridge. So if the battery does eventually die on the cartridge, I have it backed up on a flash cartridge, like a flash drive. There was like an extender where you could like plug the game into it and then put that in the Game Boy. So I have it on the cartridge, backed up, and the certificate of authenticity. I haven't run into anybody else that has like the whole, like all of them. Will I show you one day? Yeah, sure. I think it'd be fun. Maybe during office hours one day. Cool. I still got to add that that channel point rewards where we just like stop stream and do a Pokemon battle. That'd be fun. I'll add that over the weekend. Over the weekend, I'm making a lot of tweaks. I'm going to add that because I think that'd be a fun community goal. It'll be really expensive though. Not as expensive as the OnlyFans, but it'll be up there. Alrighty, folks. Hey, Kaleem, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate you. You have received a level 5 hype train emote. What is that? Jeez. I don't think we've ever hit level 5 before. That's wild. Thank you all. I appreciate you. I always appreciate the love when we first start. If you're new, everything I do is for free. I'll never charge for a course. I'll never put stuff behind a paywall. So don't ever feel the need that you need to sub, tip, donate, cheers, whatever. This is supposed to be a totally free experience. I want all my stuff to be free. I only ever really recommend free resources, and all the donations, cheering, all that stuff is a donation to the nonprofit I work at during the day. So I appreciate you all. Welcome. Let's get into it. Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today, folks. Is that emote like a trash can on fire? Like I guess it's really hype that we're lighting stuff on fire. That's hilarious. Oh my god, that Pikachu emote, who's that from? I must know. That's wild. Alyssa, hey, thank you for the stop, please. Stop, Alyssa. Thank you. I appreciate you though. All right. So tonight we are going to review our HTML fundamentals. We're going to go over all the basics that we've talked about so far. We're going to review our CSS fundamentals. We're going to revisit the box model just to make sure there aren't any other lingering questions about the box model. We're going to, review floats. We're going to go through those layouts. And then we are going to talk very briefly about responsive basics. Next week is all about making our websites responsive. All that means is they look good across devices. They look good on mobile phones, desktops, laptops. So tonight I'm going to introduce the key mechanism that makes that possible. And then next week we're going to start building out our responsive sites. Then we have some homework for you to build and some reading, but we'll get into all that. One kind of other quick reminder is that this Saturday we are doing office hours. So 12 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to start. We're going to go through a lot of the homework just to review. We're going to go through all the key concepts just to review, and I'm going to answer all your questions. Normally, I just open up a Google form, folks throw all their questions in the Google form, and we just work through the questions together. So I have some set review that we're going to do. Like, we're going to definitely review the homeworks. We're definitely going to review some of the key concepts, but then we're going to also mix in your questions. So this is the perfect chance if you're still feeling uncomfortable about some things. If something's not clicking, tonight's a great night to get review done. And then on Saturday is the office hours. Definitely check it out if you can. And I'll also upload the office hours to YouTube as well. Alrighty, folks. Let's go ahead and talk about submitting your work. So the idea here is that you have the simple site lab that's due and your 3 layouts. So the 3 layouts, what I want you all to do is for the layouts in the simple site lab to just throw them into a code pen and then submit the URLs in that Google form. You can just put spaces between the URLs. It doesn't really matter too much. Spaces, commas, etc. should work. And that's what I'm gonna do for the homework submission for today. The idea here is that if you're putting them in the code pen, I know somebody messaged me on Discord. I didn't get a chance to respond to you yet. Folks asked about, hey, Leon, my images broke, things like that. Don't worry about if the image wasn't linked to a hosted version, right? So if you had the code running locally, you had that image locally on your computer, and that's why it would show up in the browser. But when you put your code into the code pen, it doesn't know where to go and find that image. So you could host the image somewhere, like put it on an image hosting site like Imager, and then take that link and put it into your HTML. But don't worry about that. Just have the image tag. I don't care if the image breaks. That's totally fine. I want to see your code. Cool. There we go. All right. Oh no, the check-in command's not up to date. Hold on, let me update that real quick. So if you haven't checked in, what I normally ask folks to do, well, I always ask folks to do, is on Twitter, I just post a tweet. And that tweet is just so that more folks can see the class. Hopefully, if they've been trying to learn web development, they're trying to find a new career, they see the class and they join us. So I always ask folks to like and retweet that tweet. Wow, that's a mouthful. So I'm going to go ahead and update that check-in link just because I see some folks in chat talking about it. So sorry I didn't update it before. And there we go. Should be updated. So if you do ! check-in, you have that link. All right. So I'll leave the homework open. And so the homework will be open until the end of class. I know this one was a little rough because I didn't give you that much time for the layout, so that's okay. Going forward, I'm going to open them up before class, and the homeworks will always close by the end of class. So I'll give a little bit of time at the end of class, and then I'm going to close the Google Forms just so that I can have folks just so I could have folks make sure they're submitting on time. Cool. I would give it a second, and then maybe it should. All right. So I don't know if you've been able to check out, but on Discord, and I'll put the direct link. Oh, Somebody already got it. Here's the direct link. Why did it put a? There we go. That's the Twitter link to check in if you need it. Oh, and a posture check. Thank you, Anvi. Ooh, let me get up here. Get it right. There we go. Thank you for the posture check so early. So if you've been noticing on Discord, I've been giving some videos that help with motivation, discipline before class, and that's definitely not the link. Hold on, let's see. Because there was some weird text that was popping in there. Oh, it's the E. Get rid of the E. Boom. There we go. No E. I just reposted it. Thank you for that. So if you've been watching those videos, one of my favorite videos and one of my favorite kind of hype man motivational speakers is Dr. Eric Thomas. He has a lot of really great videos that have been really impactful on myself and a lot of my students. And he has a video that I shared where he talks about a really important concept. And he says, sometimes you might have to give up sleep to be successful. And somebody in our Discord was like, wait a minute, Leon, hold on. That goes against everything that you've ever said. That goes against what we learned about in learning how to learn. And I agree, right? The idea here is that we're learning some very intense stuff. And I know that a lot of you are coming after a long, hard day. I know that there's a lot of stressors outside of class. And so one of the most important things that you can do to make sure all the things, all your hard work, all the things that you're learning are being consolidated into long-term memory is to get a good night's sleep, right? So much research that goes into long-term consolidation of memory has to do with good quality sleep. And so I'm here to say that yes, sleep is important. You should be prioritizing it, and you need to include it in part of your regimen, right? You're all doing Anki, you're all doing active recall, right? You should also be including sleep in this pattern as well. Now, the thing that I'm always conflicted when I talk about this, though. I'm always super conflicted about this because I have seen people give up sleep to be successful. I've given up sleep to be successful. And so I'm always really conflicted when this idea comes up. And so I'm going to say this in a way that I think makes sense to me, and hopefully it makes sense to you. When you're thinking about your time, right? When you're thinking about your time, everyone's going to have a different allotment of time throughout the day. If you have kids, there goes some time. You have a job, there goes some time. And so when you're thinking about your studying regimen and you're thinking about how you're actually learning all of this, hey, Prince Danny Mafia, appreciate you. Thank you for the sub. When you're thinking about all of this, it's not the amount of time, but it's how focused can you be in the time that you have, right? How disciplined can you be with the time that you have, right? If you only have an hour a day and somebody else has 5, but they're not going through those 5 hours focused, they're not using the techniques that we talked about, Pomodoro, spaced repetition, active recall, your 1 hour of supreme focus will be worth more than somebody that kind of goes through a lazy 5 hours. So the idea that you have to give up sleep, yeah, that could be a concept, but the idea is evaluate the time that you do have, right? If you're going to stick to a nice sleep regimen, what time do you have and what are you doing with the time that you do have? How are you being successful with that block of time? Because we all have different blocks of time. And so think about tips and tricks that can make it so that with the time that you do have, you can be successful. If you're not doing Pomodoro and you're not getting some laser focus in the time that you have, you need to kind of step back and reevaluate, how are you doing your study blocks, right? I talk a lot about this. As most of you know, I'm bipolar. I had attention issues. I started with a Pomodoro that was super forgiving, right? A very short amount of time of focus and a lot of doing whatever I want, right? And over time, I've been able to build up the amount of time that I can focus and the amount of time that I need to give myself as a break. When I had my niece over, I found out that her block of focus time was 15 minutes, right? That's it. After 15 minutes, the cognitive effort declined and we needed to take a break. So we were doing 15 on, 5 off. And that was a great pace. And we were able to keep that pace and get through a 6-hour block of homework. Yeah, we did 6 hours of homework together, but we were able to do it through Pomodoro and not get super exhausted. So I want you to think about the time that you do have, right? And how effective are you with that time? And remember, consistency is key. When we look at the research on spaced repetition, we know that if you have a 5-hour block of time, you're better off separating that 5 hours across multiple days than you are studying for one super session, right? So really just think about your time, plan it out, be intentional, right? Be intentional with the time that you do have, because that's going to be the biggest thing that pays off. Now, I'm going to tell a quick story real quick about why I'm so conflicted with this idea and why I grapple with Dr. Eric Thomas says. The reason I raised my first $100,000, like when I was raising funding for my company, the reason I was able to raise my first $100,000 that led on to a $500,000 fundraising round wasn't because I was a great coder, wasn't because my idea was really, really good. I honestly believe in my heart of hearts, one of the reasons why I got that first round of fundraising for my company was that I slept underneath my desk. I was going through an accelerator program called Techstars, and me and my co-founder, every night we'd be up really late, coding to the point where we didn't feel like walking home, and we would go to sleep underneath our desks. And then on Fridays, the person that eventually came on to be our investor would come in every Friday with coffee and donuts, and we'd be the only people there. Not because we got up early to see them, but because we had literally fallen asleep underneath our desk, got up, wiped the sleep out of our eyes, like stumbled over, like thanked them for the donuts and left. They went on to lead our round. So I've seen the benefit of giving up some sleep to be successful. But I think when we talk about in the long run, the thing that's going to be helpful for the most people, if we're treating this as a marathon, not a sprint, if we're treating this as a career, something that we're going to do day in and day out for the next 30 plus years, we got to lean towards the sleep and build that into our schedule. And then when we build sleep into our schedule, we have to reevaluate the time that we have left and make sure that we're focusing during that time. So that's my advice. I've seen that be really successful for my students. And I shared that video, and I didn't want to not address that one very important point during that video, because I do think sleep is super important for memory consolidation. And it's definitely something that you should be thinking about as you're going on this learning journey. You're committing to learning for the next years. And so we have to be healthy. It's a marathon. Cool. We'll trade donuts, coffee for 100K for sleep. Please DM me. 700 Days said, do you feel like manic episodes made not sleeping easier for you? So my bipolar didn't express until I was later, like 25, 26. And then I would just stay up for 3 days straight. And some of the best code I've ever written, some of the best things I've ever done have been during manic episodes, but it was never worth it. The other side of the mania was never worth it. I did some dope stuff, but it was never worth it. And so, yeah. How did you get diagnosed with bipolar? So I think we can so the reason I want to spend a little bit of time talking about this too is we just opened up the mental health channel on our Discord community. So in the main channel, there is now a mental health channel where you can talk about all these things. A lot of folks have been asking for it. Something I wanted from the beginning. Alyssa has been so great to pin some very helpful resources at the top of the channel. So it's important to kind of talk about these things, and I want to create a space where we can talk about these things. So I'll answer that question. So I was having bouts of mania and bouts of depression, and I would do some really funny stuff. I'll share my favorite one. I'll share my favorite manic episode. For 3 days straight, I didn't sleep. And I was gardening every day. So like really hardcore gardening, like tilling soil, planting, like super exhausting, but still not sleeping. And while I was gardening, I had an idea that, so my background's biology. I did a lot of like lab work prior to kind of starting my company and coding. So while I was gardening, I had this bright idea that was like, what if I made X-Men? Like X-Men, I think I can make X-Men. And so I bought like thousands of dollars in like lab equipment and textbooks and stuff like that, because I was convinced that I could make X-Men. And so that's my favorite one. And then you come off of that and you're like looking at your Amazon bill, like, what the fuck did I just do? You're looking at like weeks where you just can't like function anymore because like you're so physically and mentally exhausted from those 3 days. So it's never worth it. Like, yes, I've done some really funny, creative stuff, but it's never, the downside is never worth it. It didn't work. It didn't work. Sorry. Or did it? And maybe this was a question. Today's question was to figure out who wanted to be the X-Men. I said, did you want to be a superhero or did you want to be a wizard? If you said wizard, you're not getting the invite. We have a special Discord channel now just for y'all. So if you said superhero, I'm going to add you to it, and I'll send you the X-Men secrets. So yeah, it was never worth it. So I don't mind sharing these things. I don't think a lot of people talk about it openly, so I want to be that space to do that. I think it's important for folks that are putting themselves through a very stressful experience, right? Learning and pushing yourself after a long day. That's always hard. And so if you need to talk about these things, you can always reach out to me on Discord. But we also now have this wonderful mental health channel, so I hope that you use it. Cool. All right. That's what I have to say about sleep. Sleep's important. Build it into your routine. All right. I'm going to kill the music here. I know it's been chill, but let's bring it down here. Cool. So I saw some code already get submitted that looks great. Once again, just telling you early on, remove the fear, remove the hesitation, vomit out what you think's going to work. You'll always have time to clean it up later, right? Especially with these layouts. The common thing I see when people are working through the layouts and folks that kind of reached out to me for help was that they just weren't trying, right? Like not in the fact like you weren't sitting down to be mentally present and to do the work, more so that like you weren't playing with code. Like you weren't trying things. You were getting so caught up in whether it was going to be right or wrong that you weren't actually writing out your sections. You weren't trying out different whiffs. You're afraid that it would break. And this is a very, very common pattern with new folks learning how to code. You have to be okay with the idea that you're going to try a lot of things. 90% of those things aren't going to work, but that 10% that does can be wonderful. And so get into the idea of writing code being a playful experience, being a fun experience, and you're just going to vomit it all out and you'll have time to clean it up later, right? 8 bearings photo, it's so much trial and error. It is so much trial and error. And that's why he said one of the greatest predictors as to whether or not you're going to be successful as an engineer is managing your frustration, tweaking, playing, pushing, moving, trying, right? Eventually that turns into a process where you try something, it breaks. You got to figure out why it breaks. We call this like debugging, right? And so this is just a pattern that you want to get yourself into, and give yourself the time to understand that the first 3 things you try probably aren't going to work. The 4th and 5th thing you try might be close, and it gives you the idea to get to that 6th or 7th thing that really does work. And so make sure you're giving yourself the room, the trial and error, and know that everyone else is doing this. When I sit down to do a coding challenge, I do a coding challenge every day. I think I'm on day 152 in a row of doing a coding challenge. I can't tell you how many times I sit down at that coding challenge and the first 3 things I try just don't work, right? And so it's part of the process. Even folks that have been doing this for a very long time, they're approaching code playfully. They're breaking things. Then they're figuring out why it broke, why it didn't work, and then using that to modify and change to where they get to the point where it is working. Yeah, secure greatness. Felt like digital Lego. It is digital Lego. Have fun. Build with the blocks. and pay attention. Like, you're going to learn stuff as you're breaking and as you're trying, but don't get caught up here. Don't get caught up in your brain trying to reason through everything. Just start typing, start getting stuff out there. The beautiful thing about HTML and CSS is that it's so visual. You can see if things are breaking. You can see if things are working or not working. Yeah, this is a hard process. It's a hard process. This is probably the biggest barrier for some folks starting out. Is this idea of like it being okay to fail, and for it to not work, and understanding that that's part of the process. Yeah, cool. Yeah, what do I mean by coding challenges? Coding challenges are like little, like, think about like word problems that you have to solve with code, basically. They typically test things like data structures and algorithms and some very common elements in programming. Don't worry about them for now. We'll get to that later on when we get to JavaScript. But I do them every day to, one, support my students that also do them every day, just in like solidarity of doing them every day with them. But also because it helps you stay ready for interviews and things like that. So we'll get there soon. You will be doing coding challenges every day. Not now, but in the future. Cool. All right. If you haven't watched the motivational video by Dr. Eric Thomas, please watch it after class. He has a very famous line in it that says, you owe you, right? And it's something that always sticks with me. In the video, he says, like if you buy something from Best Buy, you take it home, and a day later it breaks, you're going all the way back to Best Buy with the receipt in hand saying, this don't work. You promised me this thing and it's not doing what you promised. I want my money back. Right. And so he kind of flips that idea on yourself, and he says, you know what? Have you ever asked yourself for a refund? Like, have you ever said, like, I messed up, like, I want a refund to yourself? And the answer is like, no, we don't think like that. And so I think it's a funny kind of thing that, like, to think through. So please watch the video. But he says you owe you. And so there are a lot of things that you owe yourself. And one of the most important things you owe yourself, if you're going through this process, if you're committing the time to be in class, if you're committing time to do the reading, if you're committing time to do all of this, you owe yourself doing Anki. Right? I need a refund from 5 years ago. Hello. You should be doing Anki. I know I bring it up every class because it's just that important. There's too much to memorize, and we know that within an hour, there's a good chance that you've forgotten up to 20% chance you've forgotten what you've learned. By 30 days, there's an 80% chance that you've forgotten what you learned, right? But there's a very easy solution around this. It's doing spaced repetition. It's using a totally free service called Anki that makes it so that you don't forget stuff, so that your forgetting curve gets constantly reset. Do it. If you are here and you haven't done Anki yet, please do Anki. I'm asking you. I'm asking you. I'm begging you. Try Anki. Just do it. Make it part of your everyday process. Jackie said, I've been doing Anki every day. It really helps. There you go. Anki, just do it. Cool. I have it on my phone. I have it on my laptop. I do it every day. Cool. Alrighty, folks, let's get into it. Rant is over. Chat, what is the internet? Wires, cats, tubes, memes. I love it. Cat memes, X-Men, OnlyFans content. Anki, I guess so, yeah, if it's the web version, right? Domino's Pizza. Yeah, all of y'all are correct. Bezos, Jeff Bezos is. When we talk about the internet, we're talking about the infrastructure that supports client-side devices like our phones, our laptops, our desktops, having the ability to talk to other computers out there on these very real, very physical wires called servers. Our client-side devices like our phones, our laptops, our desktops make requests. Those servers hear those requests and they return information. They return files. And the files that we've learned so far that a server can return is HTML and CSS. We're going to learn a little bit more about HTML and CSS this and next week, and then we're going to slowly move into JavaScript. But the idea is we have a client-side device, makes a request. We have another computer that hears that request and responds with information. Those files, those HTML, those CSS, those JavaScript, they get rendered by your client-side devices, typically through a program called a browser. And that's how we're able to see the websites and the web applications that we use. All right. Did I miss a hydrate? Please tell me that you have liquids. So what? I do have water. All right. Good job. Golden rule, separation of concerns. HTML should only contain our content, our text. CSS should only contain our style. And JavaScript should only contain our behavior and interaction. So when I say content, I mean the things that we're able to physically see on the website. Like if you're looking right now, the text, the words, that content, that's HTML. The fact that the background is gray, the text is white, that's style, that's CSS. And if I was able to like click something and the text started wiggling, that behavior and interaction would be JavaScript. And chat already has it. But why is this golden rule, this separation of concerns so important? Organization. All right. I see y'all going wild with the organization there. For organization. It's organization for you, and it's organization for the team that you might be on as well. Hey, rupees H11119992. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Right? It's organization for you, and it's organization for your team. Chat. If you were working on a team of other front-end developers, and they said, hey, I want to make sure that all the text is red, where are you going to go, chat? I want to make sure all the text is red. Where are you going to go? CSS, boom. And if your project manager came to you and said, hey, I want you to add this extra paragraph of content, this extra bit of text that describes the product, where are we going to put it, chat? Nice, in HTML. And then if you want it to make the text rotate when the user clicked on it for some really odd reason, where would they go? JavaScript. Cool. So if we're working on a team, we know to go to HTML for the content, CSS for the style, and JavaScript for the behavior and interaction. And so this golden rule, the separation of concerns, is so important because it enables us to be organized for ourselves, but also so that everyone on our team knows where to go when they want to fix things as well. Pasta Lord said, I swear people are cheating here. We have some folks that have been around since the first one, so they kind of know what's going on. They're hip. All right. HTML is a markup language. And since it is a language, it has its own spelling and grammar rules and punctuation. Chat, what do we call like the spelling and grammar rules, the punctuation of a language? What would we call that? What's the word for it? Ooh, blah, blah, blah in here first with the answer. Yeah, we call that syntax, right? So the syntax of HTML is made up of two key pieces. It's made up of an opening tag, and it's made up of a closing tag. The only difference is that our closing tags always have this lovely /, and our opening tags can sometimes have these attribute value pairs that give some superpowers or extra abilities to the tag. Every bit of content in your HTML must be wrapped in tags. Every bit of content must be wrapped in tags. There are two things that aren't technically content. They are already content themselves. images and inputs. So you won't see open and closing with them. It'll just be one tag because it's already content. It's not wrapping around content. But any bit of text you have, right? Any bit of content on the page must be wrapped in opening and closing tags. One of the most common mistakes folks make early on, they forget to close tags. All right, let's do a quick run. Like I said, we're doing some review just to make sure everybody's feeling good. Time for some tags. I really want to do like a watch party, like a Twitch watch party where we don't like learn anything. We just like watch this World Extreme tag. I'm very interested in watching this. Let's do it. All right, I think we're gonna have so some folks asked, and we're going to do another networking session with each other, like another icebreaker session. So we're going to do another one of those in the coming like week or two. I'll announce it. And then I want to do like a hanging out stream where we're not learning, but we're doing fun games and stuff like that. So we're going to plan that out. Cool. Count the shells. It starts today, actually. Nuh-uh. That's not like a new one, is it? That's wild if it is. Cool. Alrighty. Heading elements. Whenever you have content that describes the content that comes after it, think about a newspaper. You have your headline, and then after the headline, you have content that comes after it. So that headline describes that content that comes after. Same thing with your heading elements. Now, the reason you would use one heading over the other comes down to importance. That main headline you see on a newspaper, that's probably going to be your H1 or the most important content on the page. But all the other smaller headlines, those might be H2s. If the H1 is the most important content on the page, how many H1s do you think we should really have? Yeah, one, right? There's a side caveat with HTML5 sections. Each section can have their own H1. But if we're thinking like logically through our code, one H1. You can have as many 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s as you want. There are no more than that. You only go up to 6. Cool. We're going to do an accessibility class. We're also going to kind of learn about kind of the rules when it comes to accessibility with these tags too. We have paragraphs for larger blocks of text, spans for shorter pieces of text, pre-tags, which are an abomination. We shouldn't use them. Containing elements with HTML5. We had divs that were supreme for a long time, but with HTML5, we just got a lot more semantic options. Chat, what do I mean by semantic options? So with HTML5, div kind of fell out of favor a little bit because we got more semantic options. Ooh, I like that. Anna said, why and when? The meaning. Yeah, like the meaning behind the tag. Like when you would use that tag. Like why are you going to use that tag? The meaning behind that tag. That's the semantics, right? And so there's nothing like innately wrong with a div, right? It just isn't as semantic as some of the other choices. And so we don't use it as much, right? So if you're ever doing a tutorial and everything's divs and it's not React, run. Cool. Sections are for grouping like content. Articles are for content that's meant to be shared. Asides are for ancillary extra content, stuff that if we remove from the page still works. We have header and footer for content at the beginning and content at the end of a document. Cool. All right, so we had the BBC solution that was due prior. And so I want to take a look at that solution real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and open up that picture and talk through what it would be. And then on Saturday, we're going to actually do the actual full code. So let me go ahead and open up the image real quick. And then if you want the actual solution code, come to us on Saturday, and we're going to go over it together. But let's mark this up. All right. Not with the CSS, just with the HTML. This was just for the HTML. All right. Oh no, Count the Shell said ads. Did you get? Oh, I think you're talking about the aside. I was like, oh no, did like ads run or something? All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this. All right, chat. I'm going to circle stuff. I want you to tell me what element it should be. All right. This content at the beginning of the document that I circled, the black, what would that be? Yeah, okay. I'm seeing a little bit of mix here. So we're going to say a header. And then inside that header, what is there? Let's get a little bit specific here. Let me circle a little bit more specific here. So we had the header on the outside. And then inside the header, we had definitely right there is a what? Chat. Yeah, definitely a nav there. Cool. So definitely a nav. How about this piece over here? We're still inside the header, but how about that specific piece over here? Nice, chat. Yeah, it's a form. Nice, nice, nice. And some folks even gave me a little bit more specific. They said, hey, Leon, over here, this is just not a nav. What's inside the nav? Inside that nav, we have a nav. We have a UL. We have LIs. Inside those LIs, we have anchor tags. All right. So it's a full structure there. We have the header on the outside, nav, UL, LI, anchor tag. And so a little bit more robust there. Cool. How about this big white block? Big white block, what would that be? Yeah, it's a section. So I would go ahead and give that a section. And then how about this other big white block down here? What would that be? Keep it rolling, chat. There you go. Another section. Another one. Another one. Cool. So here is kind of like the big three for this layout, right? For this HTML. We have a header at the top, a section, and a section. I would say everything here, of course, is inside the body. But then inside that body, we have a header, a section, and section. Those are our parent elements, right? The elements that are going to hold everything else. We know inside that header, we have an image, maybe a span, maybe a form, a nav, UL, LI, anchor tags. And then inside this section that we have here, like if we were to look inside this section, right? What would welcome to BBC be? What do you feel like that is, chat? Welcome to BBC. Brian Tooth. I love this stuff. Heck yeah, me too. Ooh, H1, H2. Yeah, I think this one's hard, right? Like, is welcome to BBC.com the most important thing on the page? I don't know. Could it be the logo? Could it be this headline? I think that's going to come down to personal opinion here, right? I'm fine. Like if you were to say, you know what, Leon, I think this is the most important thing. If you think it's the most important thing, then definitely an H1. Cool. But I'm also seeing H2s. I think when I was doing this, I went H2 for this. Thought it was important, but I think the logo or maybe the headline could have been our H1 here. But definitely important. Definitely a 1, 2, or 3, depending on your team and preference. Cool. Now I have this section here. Who said that? Somebody said the BBC just really wants you to feel welcome. Cross. That's funny. Cool. So we have that big section, and then inside of it, I went 1, 2 more sections here. Okay. So I have 2 sections inside of my big section. Now, I think where some people got really confused with this is they're like, Leon, are there images here? And so I think the hard thing to realize is that these images, like the ones I'm going to check off, I don't think that they're content. I think they're kind of styling the background. And so if they're styling the background, those are CSS to me. Because in CSS, we can do background, not just a color, but we can also do an image in the background. So I actually put them as CSS backgrounds and not as like actual content inside of the HTML document. So like if I was doing this with CSS, those would be in the CSS. Just like we could paint them blue, or you could have some really crappy wallpaper, right? This is the styling of that section to me. Cool. Then we have a heading element, maybe a paragraph, and probably like a span, or maybe another heading, depending on if you thought it described the content, right? And then the tricky thing was we have this other section over here. And then what I did is I said that these were 4 other sections. Oh boy. So we have a section on the outside, 2 sections on the inside, and then inside of one of those sections, we have 4 more sections. Inception section, Sir Fan. Right? And so, oh, I like that. Yeah, Jazzy Girl said, now the box model is making sense. If everything's a box, the reason the box model is so important is because you're going to do that for every layout that you're looking at. It's just boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes. I just think of like the meme with the astronauts. So you're telling me it's all boxes? It's always been boxes. All right. Oh, thank you. Hold on. Who did the hydrate? Dat Mods is my daddy. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Thank you. Alrighty. So it's just boxes inside of boxes. And so the box model becomes so important because we're just nesting content inside of other content, and we got to know what can sit next to each other, what can be inside of each other, and that's why it becomes super important. Yeah, my mug today. I'm doing my fancy Starbucks cup just so I can feel special today. All right. Now inside of these smaller sections, probably like a heading, maybe like an H3 for these, and maybe a span and that little bit of text, and they'll all be the same, all maybe H3s with spans, right? And so that's what I would do. Kat said, can you show us the cup again? I missed it. It's just like a plastic Starbucks cup that I got from Target, or should I say Target. I like straws, but I don't like reusable. I like a reusable straw. So this is a reusable straw. I don't know. I like it. I feel fancy when I'm drinking it. I don't ever buy coffee, so I always make coffee. My wife and I are pretty good at making coffee every day with a French press, and then I like to put it in here and put a little Trader Joe's almond creamer in it and feel fancy and not spend any money. General Knox said, "Are you wearing Uggs too?" You know what? I've never actually tried them, but they sure as heck look comfy. I'm not opposed. You fancy, huh? Why do we need spans? Just for these short pieces of text. They could also maybe be links, like if they're linking somewhere, like anchor tags, but we're just going to say spans for now. I'm going to clear these, and then we're going to look at this other section down here. And then I have another heading element. So this is definitely like an H2, right, chat? Like definitely an H2 there. And then maybe 1, 2, 3 section. And these are probably actually content, so actually images in there. Maybe like an H3 or 4 paragraph span. And then same thing, heading, span, heading, paragraph span, heading, paragraph span for each of these. So I know this is wild and we're kind of just like talking about it high level, but come back Saturday, and on Saturday, we're actually going to code it out, and then I'll share the solution on our Discord. Cool. Congrats to your niece, Rossi. That's cool. Yep. It is, office hours are Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. All right, so that's high level, just to let it start marinating in your brain. And then on Saturday, I'll go over it in detail. I'll share the solution. And if you're not able to make Saturday, it's okay. It'll be recorded. You can watch the recording if you would like, and you can also look at the solution. Cool. All right, chat. Where does CSS go? Does it go in line with our HTML, in the head, or in a separate file? Nice, chat. Separate file all day long. There are some caveats. If you're writing HTML emails, then yes, you can use it inline. If you work at Amazon and you're doing something like critical path CSS, then maybe. And then if you're really doing it and you're adhering separation of concerns, it'll always be in a separate file. Nice. Something interesting about critical path CSS. I was playing around with the React starter kit and I noticed that they have critical path CSS built in. So that's interesting. It's starting to pick up a little bit of steam, which is interesting. So we'll talk about that when we get to React later on. Notice me, senpai. Cause organization. I see you. Oh, don't forget bingo. I always forget that I get played. So you can always do !bingo if you want to follow along with 100 devs learn with Leon bingo here. All right. Y'all just play with my emotions. So if we're putting our CSS in a separate file, we need to link to that separate file, right? So here's how we link to a separate file. We put a link tag at the top of our inside of our head. And then we put the actual path from the HTML to that style sheet. C110P, 10P. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. All right. When we're talking about CSS, we have a pretty clear breakdown for our rules. Our rules are made up of many different parts. So let's go ahead and I'm going to ask the chat. Chat, what is this? What did I just circle? Funny commentary, Mayu. They put something out before I even circled anything. They just threw out the guess. All right, that's funny. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's a rule. The whole thing is a rule. CSS is made up of writing rules. A rule is broken down into two parts. Chat. What did I just circle there or arrow there? Declaration block. Nice. How about this, chat? What's that? The selector. Nice. How about that right there, chat? Declaration. Nice. And then declarations are broken up into this and this. Cool. Property and value. Nice, 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 nice. Well done, chat. Like I said, this is a review. We're getting some space repetition in. We're making sure folks are feeling comfortable. Remember, CSS is read from top to bottom due to the cascade. The stuff that comes above will be overwritten by the stuff that comes below. Alyssa, thank you for the gifted sub. You've gifted a lot today. I appreciate you. Thank you. CSS is read from top to bottom. And so what you see here is that there is a rule that's setting the color and font weight. And then further down the cascade, the color is overridden. And since the selectors have the same level of specificity, it can override. Okay. Oh, telescope thieves. That looks pretty cool with the hands. I like that. Cool. All right. So remember, we got to pay attention to this. The idea that stuff above can be overwritten by stuff that comes below. And chat, one last time. Why might we link to a separate CSS file? Boom. Organization, separation of concerns. Wonderful. All right. Let's review some simple styles, and then we are going to take a top of the hour break so we can stretch and hydrate. So some simple styles we've talked about in the past. We've talked about color. We talked about how there are color keywords. Like you can say, I want something to be red. You can say that you want something to use a hexadecimal, an RGB, or an HSLA value. Just 4 very different ways of doing color. And it's up to kind of you which one you want to use. If you're just prototyping and trying to get things done quickly, you're probably just going to use the color keywords. But if you want more control over a specific color, then you're going to look at the options we have here. And I use RGBA mainly because I like that alpha channel, which can add transparency, but it's up to you. We talked about font families. We can actually change the font of our text. We use Google Fonts so far, where we just go to Google Fonts, we grab the link that they give us, put that in our head, and now we have access to that font. We can also do things like font weight, which is just another property, and you tell it what you want the weight to be. Remember, if you're using a non-standard font, you need that font weight in the font file that you get it from. Cool. And if you ever don't know how to do something, if you don't know how to italicize something, underline something, bold something, you forget any of this, MDN is your resource. You're going to use that all the time to look up things that you don't understand or you don't remember or that you need help with. All right. It's 1:02. We've been going for an hour and 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and take our traditional 5-minute break. Grab water, hydrate, do what you need to do. And then we will come back. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock. When we come back, we're going to move right into a lab. So if you haven't downloaded the materials or you're new here, definitely make sure that you go to our Discord, !Discord, agree to the rules, and you can download all the starter code that we're about to use when we come back from this break. As always, get up, go, get water, stretch, kiss your loved ones. Go. I'm not going to share anything. I'm going to put on some tunes. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer questions. I'm actually going to stand up and do a little stretch myself. Oh, there we go. What is a community goal? Hilarious asked. A community goal is a goal that everyone can contribute channel points to. You get channel points just for being a part of the stream, doing the raids that we do end of stream. And so we've done some fun ones in the past for bonus classes, a Minecraft server, which I promise is coming. And so, yeah. Seriously, folks, stretch, get water, take care of yourself. Spliff said, Leon, tell us which X-Men you are and why it's Professor X. My favorite was always Nightcrawler. I think he's my favorite. No worry, Miriam. You're all good. Have I played Valorant before? I haven't played it. I've watched a lot of it like on Twitch. I haven't played it because I don't like the anti-cheat system that they have. It's really invasive, it seems like. I'm also a big Counter-Strike player, so eventually I'll probably play it, but I still play Counter-Strike regularly. Am I familiar with eBay listings? Yeah, sure. I've bought and sold stuff on eBay. BB Tone with the posture check. Thank you. Leon, have you gotten the new PS5? No. I'm like what people like to call a patient gamer. I don't ever really buy the current console. Like I'm really excited to pick up like a PS3 to play The Last of Us finally. I've always kind of been like Nintendo and PC, and then I'll patiently wait until all the prices drop on the newer stuff. So I have a Switch and I have my PC, and that covers most of my games, but I'm probably going to pick up like a PS3 or PS4 once the prices drop a little bit more. I don't know. It depends on like what exclusives and stuff come out, but I'm not like running to get the PS5 or Xbox X or anything like that. Smash main. I'm not good at Smash, but I main Ganondorf just because I like heavy characters. Nice. A game that helps you learn the type faster. There's like a Resident Evil typing game. Like I think it's like Typing of the Dead or something like that. I'm pretty sure that's how I learned how to type fast. What Pokemon game do you battle on? I play online on Showdown, so it's like I don't play like through the actual game. I play on a website where you can play, because like playing on the console just takes too long to like set up all your Pokemon and get the move sets and everything. So yep. I also play the TCG game too. All right, if you've just been listening to me blab around about Pokemon, please get up, go, walk around your room, stretch a little bit, grab some water. Did anyone stretch yet? I've played Yu-Gi-Oh, but I never got super into it. Like I was way more into Pokemon pretty much my whole childhood. And even now I played TGC for a while. Like maybe like if anybody's played Pokemon TCG, like when Luxray was a thing, and like there's the whole deck with like Luxray and like Garchomp, I forget what that deck was called. Like that series is when I used to play, and I used to just go to the Pokemon League to get my ass handed to me by like 10-year-olds. So there's only so much like going to play Pokemon and just getting like stomped by like a 10-year-old that's picking their nose while playing that you can take in your life as like somebody over the age of 25. Alrighty, folks, come on back. Come on back. Yeah, Kenta shows. That's exactly what it is. Is that like I'm squeezing in like learning about Pokemon and testing out cards and sets and stuff like that. They just got 12 hours a day that all they focus on is like that. And so there's no way I can play that. And also the TCG got really expensive. Like if you want to have like multiple competitive decks, you like want to travel, like it was just a lot of money. So I went back to playing like not the card game, but just like battling. Yeah, cool. There is Fountain. There is an extension for Anki that raises Pokemon. So the more you do reviewing, like the more your Pokemon level up, or like the more you're able to like capture new Pokemon or something like that. So there is a Pokemon extension for Anki that like ties it in. So as you're doing review, you get stuff, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I play Showdown. It's where I play the most. All right. Come on back. Come on back. Let's get started. I'm going to kill the music here. And we are going to move into the first lab. So in today's starter materials, there is a basic CSS 2 folder. So there's 4 folders in here. Well, 5 folders in here. And we're working on the basic CSS 2 folder. And in the basic CSS 2 folder, we have an index.html and a CSS file. And you'll notice in the CSS file is the comments for what I would like you to do, please. So I'm going to ask you to follow these comments to style your content. And I'm going to put 5 minutes on the timer. And so we're going to work through that. Aerith, hey. Seong Aerith, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Spending all that Jeff Bezos' money. I appreciate y'all. Taking Jeff Bezos' money and giving it to a nonprofit. I'll take it every day. Thank you so much. All right. DS Store is a hidden file on Macs that gets kind of put there. So yeah, not a Nintendo. There we go. Alrighty, folks. 5 minutes on the timer. If you're new and you need the materials, !Discord, agree to our rules. You'll get added to all of our channels. And then in the follow along materials channel, you'll see the zip file that everyone's using. Make sure you download it, unzip it, and then all the starter code will be there, including this basic CSS2 file. So go ahead and open it. Try and get into it. I'm going to play some music for y'all. I'm not going to reveal any secrets. Focus on getting the work done. And then we'll come back in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. The file is, well, the folder is called basic CSS2. The zip file is called class 5 materials. Do you use 2 spaces or 4 spaces to indent? I have my tab. I have the tab on my keyboard set to 4 spaces. But it really doesn't matter right now. Yeah. Personal preference. Alyssa, I like your averting of the spam filter. I wonder, do you get blocked by the filter? That's interesting. Ooh. So you just choose not to abuse your power as a mod. I respect the hell out of that. That's awesome. Cat with the finish already. What? That was 2 minutes. Wild. Well done, Cat. Chess, please. Done. Jen Toops, done. Kakoff's done. Zilby, done. Nice. WebDev DJM, done. Catch DiGiorno. Serpina, Erica, Shane, and AP Thug. What's up? How y'all doing? DTO8, done. MD Entitled, done. Look at all these people. Luck Monkey, how you doing? Done. Reftar, bro. Bots, all of you. Alrighty, folks. Well done. I'm glad seeing these duns coming on. You're still working. Keep working. Dig deep. You got this. And boy, is it ugly. Did I see the Logan Paul stuff with the TGC? Yes. They're really messing up my millionaire plans. Like when I have enough money, I want all the cards. I want all the original sealed games, and by then I hope the market is tanked. Ooh, more folks coming in done. Nice. Do we always assume indirect parent-child selectors? Not really sure what you mean. Like, should we use them? You can if you want to. The 18 pixels is for the paragraph text. Yes. 4 sharks, diabolical. A lot of folks coming in done. Nice. Alrighty, folks. Minute left. Izzy with the wall of micro Leons. Appreciate you. Sir Peanut said, after every lab, I'm like, what have I created? Cassie, first time being done before the timer. Congrats. That's awesome. Well done. Woo, pasta finished. Pasta tofu, nice. Sergio holograms, that was fun. Good, I'm glad you're having fun. Rosalind with the finish, that's awesome. All right, 15 seconds. Let's go, you got it, dig deep. The D4 knee with the first time beat the timer. Hey, congrats. C1, I did it. It's garbage, but I did it. Alrighty, folks. Come on back. Let's take a look at these together. I'm gonna kill the music here. Cool. Alright, so we have some anchor tags here. Alright, we have some anchor tags here. And it calls for us to make the anchor tags gold. So let's go and target the anchor tags. Make it a little bit bigger. There we go. So please make the anchor tags gold. So we'll do color gold. We're going to do font size 20 pixels and have a purple background. So we'll do background purple. Lovely. Let's save it and then let's go ahead and see if it worked. I'm going to open it in the browser. There we go. We can see my anchor tags are purple background, gold anchor tags. Kobe, love it. All right. Please make the section have a height of 200 pixels, 10 pixel thick blue border, and a light orange background. There is only one section, so we don't have to worry about multiple. So one section. So let's go ahead and target the section. And this rule would select all of the sections. So let's go and do a height, 200 pixels. Lovely. A border. So remember, it's always size, type, and then color. Cool. And then a light orange background. What did y'all do for a light orange? Chat, what did you use for a light orange? Count the shells. I like your RGB. Let's grab that. It's kind of hard. Sometimes the chat just like rolls and I gotta grab it. All right, there we go. I got it. Copied it. Hold on. There we go. Boom. All right, let me try this one. There we go. Lovely. And I think that's all we had to do here. Let's go back to the browser and take a look. And I'm going to refresh doing Command R. Ooh, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Funny commentary said, do you alphabetize your properties? I don't. Some people do. I'm just typically consistent. I like to do height and width first. I have some things I like to have in some certain orders. So some people do alphabetize their properties, but I think it's just too much for me to think about. So I'm just consistent. I have the things I like to do first and the things I like to do second, the things I like to do third, and I just keep it the same across my entire code base. But if I join a team, they had a preference, I would do whatever the team said they wanted to do. All right, and a side. So let's go ahead and give it a height of 300 pixels. A thin red border, so we're gonna do border again. Thin, so let's do like something like 2 pixels. Solid red. And then is teal a keyword color? Let's see. I'm not sure if it is. There we go. Ugh. Look at that. Domino's ad confirmed. All right, last one. Please make the aside paragraph have white text, 18 pixels, and a red underline. If we look at it, there's only one paragraph, but let's be specific. Let's be specific here. Let's go ahead and do aside paragraph. Whoop. And let's go ahead and make the color white. Lovely. Font size, 18 pixels. Lovely. And a red underline. Chat, how did you all do the red underline? Did anybody figure out the red underline? Oh, so you did text decoration, underline, and then you did red? Let's see. That's what chat's saying. All right, it worked. I don't know if you can see it on stream, but there is a very thin red underline. Another way you might have gone about done this, if you want to be cheeky, you can do something like this. Border, bottom, 2 pixels, solid red, right? And we'd have to clean it up a little bit, but you can do border bottom. It's going to give you the whole way across. We can fix that with width, right? And so that's another way we could do it. And if you do border bottom, you get a little bit more control over things because you can use padding now to push it farther away or closer. And you could make it thicker or thinner. So just something to think about if you're ever in that scenario where you need an underline and you want more control, you can do border bottom. That's fancy. Cool. I think that was the last. Yeah, that's it. Cool. Well done. Did you all kind of make this? Did everyone get it right? Was everyone able to kind of get the almost similar things I had here? Yeah. Cool. That's, as the kids would say, a big brain stuff. I love it. Cool. Well done. All right. Let's move on, folks. Keep it moving. We talked a lot about relationships the past two classes, right? And we talked about a few relationships. We talked about parent-child relationships. And then we talked about something even more specific called direct parent-child relationships, meaning that you have a child that is directly inside of a parent. So here I have a paragraph that is directly inside of the section. There's nothing else containing that paragraph. That paragraph is directly inside the section. Just like you are the direct child of your mom and dad, but maybe the grandchild of your grandparents, right? So a direct versus indirect, just meaning that there's only one level that you're going up. So from the paragraph to the section, it's one level. And so we can target just direct children with the right arrow. Cool. Right caret. We can also select any children, no matter how deep, no matter how many grandchildren steps down they are. And so here I have a paragraph that's inside of an article that's inside of a section. So this selector here of section space P still works because the paragraph is inside of the section, right? Doesn't matter how many layers deep it is, since it's still inside of a section somewhere in that chain, it still works. If we were to go ahead and do right caret P, it would not work anymore because that article is in the way. Cool. Last one we talked about is direct sibling. So here we have P plus P, which would turn YouTube or hello YouTube red. Hello. Oh, shout out YouTube. You can do exclamation point YouTube if you haven't been to the YouTube yet. All the classes get uploaded the day later to YouTube, so you can always rewatch them there. If you haven't, go ahead and give the YouTube a follow or subscribe, whatever you call it. I don't know. Subscribe. There you go. And if you do watch the videos, give them a thumbs up so folks can see them. Helps out the algorithm. Cool. And so here, the interesting thing is that it's only direct. So this wouldn't actually make Twitch red. It would just make YouTube red because only this paragraph has a sibling that immediately comes before it. That's a paragraph. Cool. How indoctrinated are we? We're like, smash the like button. It's gonna like yell. It's gonna have like a 1 hour rant where I'm just like, smash the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I watch way too much YouTube. All right, let's code some relationships. All right, let's code some relationships here. So if we go ahead and we look at the starter code for today. If we look at the starter code for today, inside of relationship CSS2, so I'm going to close the other ones that we have open. Relationship CSS2, there is some HTML, and then there is some CSS. So I want you to go ahead and style this content, right? I want you to style this content according to these rules in the relationship CSS2. Topher tries. Hey, thank you for the sub. I appreciate you. Go ahead and follow these 4, and then we're going to go over them together. I'm only going to put 4 minutes on the clock this time, though. Actually, we're gonna sweat it out. We're going to do 3 minutes. 3 minutes on the clock. Go, 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 go. Oh, maybe there's an error in the HTML. I don't know. All right, 2 minutes, 30 seconds. Miriam's done already. Did this one by accident last time. Love it. Y'all got this. Dig deep. If you're new and you want the materials that everyone else is following along with, !point Discord in the chat. And then join our Discord community, agree to the rules, and then go to the follow along materials channel, and you'll get the zip file that you can use too. You're not dumb, pork. Just take some time. Do you use any add-ons to highlight parent-child relationships? Maybe my dyslexia, I struggle keeping them straight in my head. I don't have something specific for that, but what you'll notice on my HTML is I have these lines, and these vertical lines are really helpful for me. And so in Atom, it is a setting. So if I do command comma, hold on, I think it's, yeah. If I do command comma, and then I go to editor, there's a, yeah, here we go. Show indent guide. So I did command comma. If you're on a Windows or GNU Linux, it's gonna be control comma. I did that, and then I went to editor and then show indent guide. That's helpful for me. I don't know of any other plugins, Fountain, but that's what I use to kind of keep an eye on things. Woo, look at all these folks coming in done. Love it. Please, sir, may I have another? Isn't there? Yes, there is. Done, done, done. All right. 20 seconds left, folks. Alrighty. Finish on up and come on back. Well done, folks. Come on back. It's okay if you didn't finish. This one was a little aggressive with just the 3 minutes. And so we're going to go over it together. It's all right. It's all right. Come on back. All right. Knox with the perfect timing. That's cool. All right, let's take a look at these. Make only just kidding yellow. All right. So here's just kidding. It is an H2 inside of a section. Are there other H2s? Let's see. Oh, there's an H2s in the article. So we have to distinguish the H2 in the section from the H2 in the article. So we can just go ahead and do H2, oh, sorry, section H2. Now, if we wanted to be a little bit more exact, in case we put more H2s down the line, we could have also done the right caret, but either would work here. And we're going to do color. I don't know how I thought that was color. And do yellow. Cool. Let's go ahead and open this and make sure it's working. Just kidding. It's now yellow. Beautiful. Let's look at the next one, folks. Please make only Twitter red and 20 pixels. Let's look at Twitter. So here's Twitter down here. It is inside the anchor tag, but you'll notice the anchor tag opens and then it's not a P tag. It should be an A. Little gotcha there. All right. And so are there other anchor tags? Yes, there are. So we have to be careful. This anchor tag is inside of an aside. Are there any other asides? No. So what we can do is we can do aside space A. We could also get a little bit more specific and do aside PA. It's kind of up to you. Let's be a little bit more specific today. Aside PA, and let's make it color red. And let's make it font size, and we'll do 20 pixels. Nice. Let's save it up. Make sure we're A-OK. Lovely. Nice. We could have had the direct children as well. Nothing stopping us from doing that. It's just kind of what kind of specificity? Well, not specificity, but what kind of selector do you want to use here? Cool. Please make really hot purple and like wild hot larger and blue. So please make really hot purple. So let's go ahead and take a look at really hot. So really hot is an H2. We want to make that purple. So really hot is different from, really hot's different from like wild hot. Really hot's different from like wild hot in which way? How is this H2 different than the H2 that comes after it? Yeah, cross, I see that. Yeah, it has an H1, which is its immediate sibling. So we can use that immediate sibling to our advantage. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and say, all right, really hot. We're going to do, what was the parent here? It was article. So we can do, if we want to be a little bit fancier, we can do article H1 plus H2. And then we can make it purple. So we'll do color purple. Cool. And then wild hot, we want to make it larger and blue. So let's do the same thing, article. We can do H1 plus H2 plus H2. Right? We could also get rid of the H1 if we wanted to. Like if we wanted them both to be 3 points of specificity, we could also do that if we want it. That works too. Let's go and make it larger. So let's do font size. Let's do 30. Let's do 30 pixels. Let's go ahead and do a color of blue. Dope. Let's save it. Let's go back and see where we're at. Refresh. All right. Really hot is purple. Like wild hot is blue. I like them. It's says, what's the benefit of making them both 3 points? Just that we're not constantly trying to one-up ourselves on specificity. I now know if I want to make any of these changes in the cascade, all of these just have to be 3 points or more. So I don't have to like keep guessing 3, 4, 2, 5. Like if I'm staying somewhat consistent, it just makes it a little bit easier if you want to override things in the cascade. You don't have to follow that. You could have done any of those mixes that we saw and it still would have worked. Yeah. Cool. Let's go ahead and do the last one here. Please make only Bob and pizza green. Let's go and take a look at Bob and pizza. So these two LIs with the anchor tags inside, how are these two anchor tags different than these two up here? This one, yeah, I agree, Pork. This one's tough. Ooh, folks got it, though. You can use the sibling ULs to your advantage. So this UL is the immediate sibling to this UL. So we can do UL plus UL and then just grab the anchor tags inside that second UL. So let's go ahead down here. We can do UL plus UL. And then we could say anchor tags inside of it. And then we can do color green. Cool. Let's save it and go on back. Dragonoid, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. I needed it. I needed it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Cool. Let me refresh. And there we go. Bob and pizza are green. Lovely. Remember, always save, always refresh, or you're not going to see the changes. Alyssa with the hydration, cheers to you. Chaz, please, with the hydration, cheers to you as well. And Cuban, 11182 with the hydration, cheers to you too. So that's 1, 2, 3. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, let's keep. Oh, MJ Untitled. Another hydrate. Cheers to you. Alrighty, folks. Let's keep it moving. A little bit more review, and then we're going to jump into the new stuff. Somebody that's never redeemed something in chat. If you've never redeemed, but you've been here since the beginning, how many channel points are you at? Like if you've never redeemed, but you've been here since the beginning, what channel points are you at? 9K. Anybody that was here for the original boot camp? Oh, 19.2. Wow. Okay. So like 20K if you've been here like day one and haven't redeemed anything. That's cool. Cool. All right. It's good for me to know. Thank you. Cool. All right. We talked about IDs and classes. Remember, IDs enable us to be super specific. Each HTML element can only have one ID. And then once you use that ID name, it can't be used anywhere else. You can also put classes on your elements. Each element can have as many classes as you pretty much want. And they can also still have an ID. Classes are ways that you can attach styles to multiple elements. They can share those styles, right? And so you can think of an ID as like a unique identifier, like on Discord, you have a unique identifier that's you and only you. But you might have a class of class Hamilton, or you might have a class of class Hopper, you might have a class of class Touring, you might have a class of moderator, you might have a class of member or original boot camper. So there are lots of things that you could apply that could talk to multiple individuals at the same time, that could style multiple individuals at the same time. IDs are unique, classes are not. Can we get a spam of houses? What house are you in? Can you spam it in chat for me, please? I want to see who's here today. Who's here today? What house are you in? Ooh, we got a good mix. Touring, Hopper. Got Hamilton in here too. Nice. All right, we got a good group today, folks. We got a good group today. If you're new and you don't have a house, when you join our Discord, there is a Join 100 Devs channel that you should check out. Cool. Alrighty, chat. We have a rule here. How many points of specificity does this rule have? Chat, how many points of specificity does this rule have? All right, I'm seeing 110, and I agree. So remember, you get 1 point for a tag, like a paragraph or a section, 10 points for a class, 100 points for an ID, and 1,000 points for other. So in this case, we got 10 points for this class and 100 points for this ID. So we have 110 points of specificity on this one. Nice. Chat, how many points of specificity does this rule have? How many points of specificity do we have, chat? 21. Lovely. Chat got that one right, I think, as well. Let's count them up. We have 10 points for this class, 10 points for this class, bringing us to 20, 1 point for the paragraph, giving us 21, and then 100 points for the ID. So we're at 121 points of specificity. All right, last one. How many points of specificity does this rule have, chat? Oh, some of y'all got, just like I got last class. Y'all got. See, you came here thinking you're gonna come get, and you done got yourself got. Yeah, don't forget the bang important. So we have 100 for the ID, 100 for the second ID. That brings us to 200, and then 1,000 for the important. So we're at 1,200 points of specificity. Chat, how many classes would we need to override this rule in the cascade? How many classes would I need to override this rule in the cascade? Nice. we would need at least 120 classes to match the specificity, right? Because it'd be times 10, so that would give us 1200. So if we wanted to just match, we need at least 120 classes. Nice. Well done, everybody. Well done. All right, let's code some specificity practice. So in the starter materials for today, there is a folder called Specificity Practice. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. There's an HTML file, and then there is a CSS file. And so what I would like for you to do is to follow the comments in the CSS to practice your specificity. I'm going to put 5 minutes on the clock for y'all to work on this. If you are new and you need the materials, !Discord in our chat brings you to our Discord. Agree to the rules, and you'll have the follow along materials channel where you can get this zip file with all this wonderful code. So 5 minutes on the clock. Practice your specificity, please. Dig deep. You got this. Have fun. Remember, I'm not talking about anything important over here. Please ignore me. Work hard. I'm going to bring up some tunes while you work. Does using the same class twice count as double? No, and be careful that you don't put spaces, because then you'd be looking for something that has that class inside of something that has that class. Z-index is kind of like, think about like everything starting on the same level, and then you can use Z-index to move them up and off the page. We'll get to that a little bit. Alrighty, folks. 4 minutes left. You got this. Doobie Dunker, oh no, you weren't signed in. That's unfortunate. Yeah, so the last ones, I want you to select them with the highest level of specificity you can muster. So last class, we went really wild with our selector. That's what I'm expecting here too. Haley, I'm sorry, could you go over how to combine using classes and IDs with relationship selectors? Sure. I think we'll see that when we get to the super specific one, so happy to cover that. Yep. Gnasty, you can always do parent and then child, just like you would use like your nested selectors. You can do the same thing with your IDs and classes. Chunk milk. Got him. That's cool, Jeezy. All right, folks. Got this. 2 minutes, 45 seconds. Whoo! K Murray with the done already? What? That's wild. Congrats. Aha, Knox figured out split screen. That's cool. Sorry, Reptar. Oh, Erica with the done. K-Cost with the dunzo. Nice. JK Fett, well done. Sub Toast, done. Done, son. What's up? Cool. 2 minutes, folks. 2 minutes left to dig deep and work through this. If you're new and you haven't given us a follow yet, go ahead and give a follow. That way more folks see us when we go live. Happy to have you. Miss Turner, this is fun. That's what I want to hear. How you been, Miss Turner? I haven't seen you in a minute. Glad you're having fun. I'm a weirdo. I really don't like split screen. I don't know why. I've just never liked it since I started writing code. I like to jump between full windows, but I think I'm definitely in the minority with that opinion. Mama, hey, glad that you're enjoying the review. Glad it's helping. David, you were sweating, but you got it done. That's awesome. Yeah, second monitor was one of the game changers for me. But yeah, I also got really good at just hot swapping between windows. Command tab saved my life when I was just on my laptop. Cool. Ninja, how big is your curved monitor? I've been looking at them. I got my wife a 49-inch curved monitor for her birthday because she just has papers up as she's doing her research. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's massive. It's really big, but it's cool because she can have like 3 papers up side by side, which is nice. Dope. All right, 10 seconds. Finish strong. Your brain hurts. Oh no. Dope. All right, come on back, folks. Even if you're not done, that's okay. Come on back. We're gonna go over this together. It's all right, Tony. This one was a little tricky, especially at the end. All right, let's take a look at these together. Let me kill the music here. All right, let's take a peek. Please make this is an ad blue, but make sure it is specific enough that you could add other H3s somewhere else in the document. All right, let's take a look at this is an ad. All right, so here's an H3, and it is this is an ad, and the H3 is inside of extra read all about it, right? So if we want it to be like super specific and say only H3s that are inside this aside, like this specific aside, we could say extra read all about it as the class. So I'm going to copy that. I could do something like this. Could do dot. That's how you signify a class in CSS. And then I could do H3. Right? So what I'm saying here is only style H3s that are inside of something that has this class. Right? Now that's something, like it's definitely somewhat specific. But could something else have that class and be an H3 somewhere else? Yeah, because classes can be reused, right? So since classes can be reused, I don't think that's specific enough, right? Like I feel like I could go down here. I could add that class extra read all about it to this section and then put an H3 in here, and then we'd be targeting both of them. So there's something here that's specific that'll only be used once and never be used anywhere else. And it's this idea of Rugrats Wild Thornberry's best crossover of all time. All right, so I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to do this. So the way we signify an ID is we put the octothorpe. Right? So octothorpe. Rugrats Wild Thornberry's best crossover all time. Don't at me. It is truth, right? And then we could keep the class if we want it, but just so y'all can see, I could do H3. Now this is only H3s that are inside of something that has this ID, and we know that that ID can't be reused anywhere else, right? Since it can't be used anywhere else, this is pretty specific, right? So many people just hit bingo. All right. So this makes it specific, and people ask like, hey, how do we do relationships with IDs? It's exactly the same, right? So here we have a space. So that means we're finding children H3s that are inside of a parent that has this ID, right? So if we look, here's the children H3 that's inside of a parent that is this ID. Right? Cool. A relationship is just how you nest your content. That's all. So I put this H2 inside of a section that created a parent-child relationship. Cool. Alrighty, let's look at another one here. Please make I like turtles red. Let's go ahead and look at I like turtles. Here we go. All right, so I like turtles is an H2, and it is inside of chunky milk. Lovely. So let's go ahead and do Octothorpe chunky milk and then put in H2. So go ahead and do chunky milk, then an H2, and let's do color red. Oh, I forgot to make this blue, color blue. Cool. Let's save it. Let's make sure this is actually working. We should see a blue H3 and a red H2. Open in the browser. Beautiful. Blue, you're beautiful. And I like turtles. Wonderful. Bugaboo. Boom. There we go. I need a catchphrase. Chat, what should my catchphrase be? Like when we get something right, I need a catchphrase. That should be the, oh, it's a good community goal. Community decides what my catchphrase is. I'll take suggestions now and we'll pick some good ones and we'll set a community goal. Oh, boom shakalaka. I like that. Dominoes. Dominoes. Water ice. There we go. Yeet. Bingo bango. Movie. Love it. All right. These are some good ones. Aqua Splash. Auto Magics. I love it. Yeah, we'll get a poll going next class, and then the community goal will pick. All right. Please select Hello World in the highest level of specificity possible. All right, so let's find Hello World. All right, let's talk through this. Where's Hello World? All right, here's Hello World. It is an H2. This H2 is inside of a section that has the ID Rugrats Wild Thornberry's best crossover all time. This section is a sibling to the header that has the class of top that is inside the body that is inside the HTML element. So I think that's it. Let me try that. Let me do H2. So H2 is going to be the start. And then outside of that, it was inside of a section that had this ID. Let me grab this ID. It's kind of weird to have the ID plus the element because the ID is already super specific, but we're doing it for all the points here. Let me go ahead and put my Octothorpe here. All right, so section with the ID, H2 is inside of it. A sibling to the section is header, and that header has the class of top. So we're going to do header with the class of top, but it's a sibling, right? So notice how there's no space here. That means the header also has the class top, and there's no space here. So that means the section also has the ID, right? And then header is inside of the body, and then the body is inside of the HTML element. And I think this is as specific as we can go. Anybody else get something extra? Anybody get anything extra that I could have added here? Ah, there you go. Let's make it, did I say a color? Let's do color blue. Well, let's do a different color. Let's do color green. And then we got to do bang important. Cool. There we go. I think that's as specific as we can get it. The section that's inside, sorry, the H2 that's inside of the section that has the ID, there's a sibling to the header that has the class top, that's inside the body that's inside the HTML. Cool. And of course, you're never going to do this. Like this is for funsies. This is to see if we can do it. And you would never do this really in production, but it's fun. All right. let's go ahead. Let's get down to business with the highest level of specificity possible. So here's let's get down to business. This is going to be wild. This is going to be wild. All right, so let's get down to business is a paragraph. That paragraph has two classes, pass the remote and the class of turtles. It is a sibling of the H2 I like turtles and is a child of the section that has the ID of chunky milk. That is a sibling to the section that has the ID of Rugrats Wild Thornberry Best Crossover Time. That is the sibling to the header that has the class top that is inside the body that is inside the HTML. Oh boy. All right, let's do it. Let's do it for the gram. Do it for the OnlyFans. And that was a paragraph, right? Yeah, paragraph. All right. P. No space. Two classes, no space. Do it for the Vine. Dude, you know what? I miss Vine. Digital Fendi. Hey, cheers to you. Thank you for the hydration. I tried Byte, just not the same. I'm over 30, so I don't think I can use TikTok. I think that's illegal. All right, so the paragraph is a sibling of the H2. So we'll do H2 plus. And then the H2 is the child of the section that has the ID chunky milk. Why do we do this to ourselves, chat? Section chunky milk. And then that section was the sibling of the section that has the ID of Rugrats. So sibling section. Whoop. There we go. And then that section was the sibling to the header with the class of top. Header, class of top, but it's also a sibling, so we need the plus sign. And then, of course, we have the HTML and the body as two parents. All right, so the paragraph that had the two classes, sibling of an H2 that's inside of a section with the ID of chunky milk, where that section is the sibling of the section that has Rugrats Wild Thornberry's Best Crossover All Time. That is the sibling to the header has the class of top. That is inside the body, is inside of the HTML. Let's go ahead and give it a color. Let's color it purple. And then bang, important. And dominoes. There we go. We got it. Did anybody else add something else? Anybody have something else that they added that made it a little bit more specific? Leon, please don't. Just testing some out. Exactly, Nox. I'm gonna throw some out. First try is definitely my favorite. When I get it done on the first try, if it works, of course. Are direct children more specific? No. That's a great question, though. Cool. Technically, we could also add pseudo selectors here, but that's a rabbit hole that I'm not ready to go down. Yeah. Tony got it right. That's from Braille. Braille skateboarding. Cool. I'm happy with this. I don't see anybody in chat that came up with something better or added something to it. I feel comfortable with this one. Oh, you could also do head, body. Yeah, you can do that, right? You can do head, right? Plus body, because they're siblings. That makes sense. We can also do that here. Good catch, chat. Because the body and the head are siblings. All right, body and then head, and then they're both inside the HTML. Good catch. All right. Once again, please don't ever do this in production. This is just for funsies to practice our selectors. But I hope you had some fun with this one. These are my favorite. All right, let's keep going. We got a little bit more to cover. We are at the top of the hour again. And since we're at the top of the hour again, let's go ahead and take a break. And when we take a break, we're going to come back to the box model. So since we're at the top of the hour, it's been 2 hours on stream. Let's go ahead and do 5 minutes on the clock. There we go. Stretch, hydrate, do what you got to do. BB Tone, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. And I'll see you all back here in 5 minutes. Please get up. Please go. Please spend time with other folks. Do some stretches. Do some squatting. Oh, boy. All right. I'm going to get a stretch in too. Be right back. Alrighty. Please take a break. Hey, Leon, how are you doing? I'm doing great. Today was a fantastic day. I think it was 8 students that all interviewed at Amazon today. And they said it went really well. So fingers crossed that some of my students get jobs at Amazon, which will be really cool. So we had I think it was 8 that interviewed there today. Yeah, so great day. Had 2 more folks get jobs in my current cohort at Resilient Coders. So that's always a good day. Tomorrow will be a good day because I think quite a few people are going to hear back tomorrow and then Monday. We're already a third of the cohort already has an opportunity. I think by Monday we might be at like half, which would be really dope. And we still got like 2+ weeks left of the cohort. Yeah, from Resilient Coders, the nonprofit I work at during the day. Have most of your RC students had interviews for on-site or remote jobs? Pretty much everything is remote. Even if they're companies with physical spaces, they're still doing remote. Oh, listen, I just saw your message. Yeah, we're going to go over the networking on Tuesday. Just because I wanted to take a little bit more time to go over it. Yeah. Web dev, it's pretty much the same curriculum, just spread out a little bit more. And without like the everyday, like the students, they're putting in 12-hour days every single day. So that's why it's a little bit more, it's definitely more intense for sure. But the topics that we'll be covering are pretty much the same. Not sure, Ash. I'll take a look in a second when we get there. Yeah, for sure. Have we started the daily challenge? Not yet. Cool. 2 minutes left. If you haven't gotten up, you haven't moved around, you haven't gotten some water, please do so. We'll be back in a minute, 50 seconds. Jazzy, hey Leon, can we have some RC alumni have a panel for us? Yeah, sure. I think some folks would love to do that. I think we can do that when we get a little bit further in, for sure. Am I taking care of myself? Yeah, I think so. I think I'm doing all right. Looking forward to this weekend. Gonna get a little rest in, I think. Do you enjoy teaching remotely? I enjoy teaching anywhere, but I definitely prefer being in the classroom with my students, just because I can like see their face, and it's way easier to see. Like the really hard thing about teaching to like on Twitch or just remotely is I can't see if things are landing, right? Like I can't see if like the thing I've said makes sense. I can't see if you're frustrated, and so I really like rely on chat to see if people are like laughing or asking questions, because so that's a whole different ball game. I feel like a lot of the intuition I have as an instructor and a teacher has been doing it for so long is when I say something and I see that face somebody makes, that lets me know, oh, like I need to give them a little bit more attention, or I need to explain that again. With being online, that's really hard to do. So all my students, when I typically give lecture, we're in a big Google Hangout, so I can see all their faces. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, J-Watt, I think that's kind of one of the downsides, right? Is that it's kind of hard to see if folks are struggling a little bit. So that's why I like having the Discord. That's why I answer everybody on Discord. That takes a long ass time every single day. But I do it because I want to make sure that folks that aren't going to be vocal here on chat can get some help somewhere else. So, yeah. You don't want to see my face during class. All right, folks, come on back. Come on back. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and keep moving, folks. Come on back. Hope you had a good break. Hope you had a little stretching in, got some water. Alrighty. Box model. All right. Everything in web development is a what, chat? Everything in web development is a what? Every single thing in web development is a what? Lovely. A box. Some of y'all, what? Some of the things that cut off by the spam filter here were pretty interesting. A box. Nice. And so there are kind of three big things that come to the box model. You have the going horizontally, the width, then your padding, and then your border. And the padding, remember, just gives space between the element and its border. That's all it does, just gives you room between the element and the border. And then we have something called margin that can push the whole box model around. Cool. What? That's a new key. I didn't know I could do that. What? What is that? Yo. What's going on? I love this. That's how I'm ending every class. Good night. Dominoes. Boom, 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 boom. That's wild. That's built into slides.com. Okay. That's neat. All right. I got to look at the other commands they have. That's cool. All right. Let's draw the box model. Going to go ahead and open up a whiteboard here. So let's say we had a section that was 50 pixels wide by 50 pixels pixels. What the heck? What am I saying? Pixels. If we had 50 pixels wide by 50 pox. What? 50 pixels wide by 50 pixels tall. Okay. Pixels by pixels. So I would wind up with a square. Let me actually draw it here. I know this is what y'all come for, are my masterpieces here. All right. So this square has a height, or this section has a height of 50 pixels and a width of 50 pixels. Let's go ahead and give it a border. I'm going to change the color. Let's go ahead and give it a red border. And let's say that border is, let's say the border is 5 pixels in thickness. So I have a 5 pixel border going around the whole thing. How wide is my element right now? If it's 50 pixels wide plus 5 pixels on each side, I'm your daddy, Memphis. Thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Yeah, it's 60 pixels. It's 60 pixels, right? We have 5 pixels for the border on the left. We have 50 pixels for the width, and we have the 5 pixels on the right. So that's 60 pixels wide. Now, if we want to go ahead and add padding, let's add padding on the left. So I'm going to go ahead and change my color here to be green. I'm going to add padding on the left. So let me go ahead and I'm going to add 15 pixels of padding. So here's my 15 pixels of padding. There we go. And remember, the border just gets extended. The border goes past the padding, and the padding just increases the distance between the element and its border. That's all it does. So if we have 5 pixel border going around the whole element, 50 pixels for the original width, and 15 pixels of padding on the left. How wide is this entire element, chat? Oh, you're already way ahead of me. There we go. 75 pixels. Because we have 5 plus 15 is 20. 20 plus 50 is 70. 70 plus 5 is 75. Cool. That's all we're doing. All it means is the padding increases the distance between the element and its border. And then what we care about this for is because if we wanted to put this inside of a container, let's say we had a container that was 800 pixels wide. We had a container that was 800 pixels wide. How many of these elements could we fit in our 800 pixel wide container? How many could we fit? Yeah, we could fit 10, right? We could fit 10. 10 times 75 is 750. We couldn't fit one more in there because it would break out of the container and go to the next line. Oh, somebody, I missed a hydration. Sorry, I missed a hydration. 8 Saints. Hi, cheers to you if I did. Sorry about that. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and we have some code to work through. So let's go ahead and look at the box model code. Somebody said that there was something wrong with it, though. Let me double check. Oh, no, it's not the right one. All right, let's do something different. So this has some wrong. This is wrong. This is not what it should be. What I want you to do, I just want you to do one thing. I want you to do one thing. I want you to make the H1. I want you to make the H1 have a red border, but I don't want the border touching it on the left side. Oh, the HTML has the instructions. Oh, derp. There we go. Sorry. So just delete the, delete the CSS here. So in the box model practice, delete the CSS. That was copied over. I'm sorry. Inside the CSS, delete the CSS. And then in the box model practice, if you look, there's some instructions. Okay. So if you go ahead and you open the HTML file in your browser, it'll be a little bit easier to read. So it says, please make the H1 30 pixels, a little bit of padding on the left, and a thin red border. Right? So I'm sorry for a little bit of confusion there. When you open this up, there's going to be some weird CSS in here. That's a mistake. Just delete that. The instructions are in the HTML, folks. The instructions are in the HTML. So we are doing the box model practice example here. Go ahead and follow the instructions that are in the HTML and write your CSS in the CSS file. I'm going to go ahead and put 5 minutes on the timer. And in those 5 minutes, please work hard. You got this. Go for it. If you're new and you want to follow along, you can go ahead and do !Discord. That'll get you access to our Discord community. Agree to the rules. And there's a follow along materials channel where you can download all the starter materials that we've used today. Now, I'm not going to share anything important. Just go ahead, start working. I'm going to bring up some tunes for you, and I'll see you back here in 4 minutes and 30 seconds. How do I get that File Explorer panel on the left in Atom? When you open a folder, it should automatically open the panel for you. So you can just like drag your folder to Atom, and it'll give you that panel. I could use some coffee, I agree. Alrighty. I don't know the hotkey. That's actually a good thing. I never actually looked up the hotkey. I just always clicked the tab, which is very much not like me. I'm sure there is a hotkey for it. I just don't know it. Sorry. That's something I'll probably Google after class, honestly. Dealer's choice, Alyssa. Dealer's choice. Let's go and take a look. 30 pixels is font size. 25 pixels is font size. Yeah. 25% width and 200 pixels of height. Uh, 30 pixels is the font size of the H1. Done already? What? Frex PE with the done. Wow. Wow. Hey, see that's OG Vine right there. Wow. Sean Michael Bird, the trough of sorrow is so real right now. You'll get through it. You got this. You're okay, Pork. Oh, look at these other folks coming in done. DT808 done. Kickoff's done. Lovely, lovely. Keep digging, folks. Y'all got this. Dig deep. Alrighty. Two minutes left. Look at all these chickens. That's a good one. That's a classic OG Vine as well. Alrighty. You got this. Keep digging. We'll go over it in minute 30. Ooh, more folks coming in with the done. I love it. There's your catchphrase. Look at all these chickens. Tempe, you got more than you thought you would. That's dope. Count the shells. Road work ahead. I sure hope so. That's a classic. iJab, yeah, there we go. Glad you like it. Building in the hands-on practice and the spaced repetition into every class. Ooh, look at more folks coming in done. Congrats. I love that you all just give me like the classic vines. I love it. Almost made me drop my croissant. Alrighty. Baka 5W first done before the timer. Woo, let's go. Dunsies. Alrighty, folks. 10 seconds. Dig deep. You got it. Come across the finish line. I believe in you. Alrighty, folks, come on back. Let's go over these together. Free Shavakadu. Yeah, that was a good one. Free Shavakadu. Why do we know so many of these? It's so wild that like we can like throw out like a one-liner and like remember like a vine. That's wild. That's culture. Alrighty, folks. Come on back. Come on back. All right, let's go through this together. I'm gonna make this a little bit bigger over here so we can see it. And I'm actually gonna copy this and put it into my CSS. Boom. And gonna remember just do command forward slash to make it into a comment. All right, let's please make the H1 30 pixels. 30. Oh my God, I cannot say pixels today. H1, we're gonna do font size. Let's do 30 pixels. Cool. A little padding on the left. So we're going to do padding left, and we'll say a little, let's just do 10 pixels. And a thin red border. So let's go ahead and do border. Let's do thin, let's say 3 pixels, solid red as a border. Now, the padding left is an interesting one. Let's save this. Let's make sure it works. All right, let's make sure it works. All right, there we go. We got a little bit of, I got the H1, a little bit of padding on the left. We can see that there's that gap on the left, right? And if we come over here, I did padding left. There's many ways to do this though. Padding top, left, bottom, right, those all work. You can also just use padding and then use the clockwise notation. So the first number would be top, so we could do like 0. The second number is right. Third number is bottom. And then the fourth number is to the left. It's the shorthand, right? So the idea here is that you start like a clock and you go clockwise, top, right, bottom, left. And so you can do that notation if you want without having to do like padding left or padding right. The other cool thing is like it repeats too. So if I just did 2 numbers, what it would do is it would do 0 on the top, 10 on the right, 0 on the bottom, and 10 on the left. So it will repeat. Yeah. So that's a cool like little shortcut too that you can try and use on your when you want to. So if I was to leave this, it should still have us that 10 on the left. Cool. And what I want to do is I want to add a lot of padding here. I want to add like 100 pixels of padding just so we can see it real quick. So let me go ahead and save it. And let me come back here and refresh. And now we can see that there's a lot of padding. And this is one of the reasons why I like to use Chrome as a developer or Firefox. And the reason why I tell you to use Chrome or Firefox for this class is because there's something called developer tools. So look what happens when I right click on the H1. Right click, inspect, and then in here I can see the rendering of the HTML. And if I click on it, it shows you in green all the padding, right? So you can see all the padding. And if you actually come over here to the right-hand side, I know it's a little bit hard to see. Let me see if I can make this bigger in here. Yeah, there we go. So if I come over here and I scroll down a little bit, I can actually look at it. Here's the actual element. Here's the padding that's on it, and it's showing up in green. Here's the border that I'm seeing, and then here's the margin. So you can use these Chrome developer tools, right, to kind of help you, especially when it comes time to get into layout and you're kind of like seeing, all right, why did it add margin? Why did it add padding? And so I just do right click and then inspect. It works in every device on Chrome if you do that. There are keyboard shortcuts that can open it, but it's pretty cool to see. And so I teach computer science to 6th and 7th graders back before the pandemic. And this is the very first thing I showed them on class day 1 to do this. My report card A+. There we go. So you can go to any website and with the inspector, you can change what the person sees. And all of these changes that you make will be there until you refresh. So that's what I would teach my kids day 1. There we go. So they all get straight A's. Cool. And if I refresh, it goes away. Let's go ahead and go back to our code here. Spliff Gates, thank you for the hydration. Cheers to you. Alrighty. Please make the H2 25 pixels. Let's go ahead and do that. H2. Let's do font size, 25 pixels. Padding on the top and bottom. So let's just do padding. And then we can do, let's do 30 pixels, 0. And what that's going to do is going to add 30 on the top, 0 on the right, 30 on the bottom, and 0 on the left, right? It is going to repeat. It's going to use that formula to go clockwise, right? And when you just have 2, it repeats the other 2. That's it. So this will do 30 on the top, 0 on the right, 30 on the bottom, and 0 on the left. And then let's go ahead and see what else we wanted. Thick gold border. Border, let's do 10 pixels, solid gold, nice. And margin on the top and bottom. So same thing like padding. You can do the same thing. So we can do 20 pixels, 0. And it'll do the same thing just like padding. So in this case, the shorthand is going to do 20 on the top, 0 on the right, 20 on the bottom, and then 0 on the left. So it rotates. I don't think 3 numbers work. It might just like repeat one of them or something weird like that. But I've only ever used 1, 2, or 4. But we could try 3 and see what happens. Okay, I think that's good. Let's do the spans, and then we'll just check everything at the end. Actually, that's bad practice. Once you make a change, go check and see if it worked. That's a good practice. Oh, now we're cooking. Look at that. Bird Jesus is my homeboy. Do you choose Adam to teach because there are fewer distractions? Yes. Out the gate, Adam has fewer distractions, and I also just prefer it. But I have no ill harm against VS Code if that's what you enjoy. All right. Spans. Span. Have thin black border, a little padding, and blue. So let's go ahead and do a border. Thin, let's do 2 pixels, solid black. Let's go ahead and do a little padding. It doesn't say on what side, so let's just do it around the whole thing. Let's do padding. And let's just do like, I don't know, 10 pixels around the whole thing. And then blue. So color blue. Let's go ahead and save it and see what we got. Oh, there we go. Looking good. And then last one. Please make the section 25% width. Let's go ahead and do width, 25%. And then 200 pixels tall, centered with a thin purple border. 200 pixels tall. So we're going to do height, 200 pixels. And then thin purple border. Let's do 3 pixels, solid purple. And then chat, how did you center it? How did you center it, chat? What did you all do to try and center this section? Okay. I like it. I like it. Let's do the margin 0 auto. Cool. So let's go ahead and save this, see what works. There we go. It's working well. And chat, let's think about this for a second. Why did margin 0 auto work? If we use what we just learned, right? If we use what we just learned about how it repeats, it's adding 0 on the top, auto on the right, 0 on the bottom, and auto on the left, right? So it has auto on the left and right, which is going to automatically figure out how much margin to put on both sides. So that's why it works. It's just kind of one of the older ways of centering something. Eventually, when we get to things like flex and grid, we'll change how we do this. But for now, old school way of doing it, that's how we did it. Cool. As always, you don't have to frantically type solutions. I'll share them with you immediately after class on Discord. Good job, everyone. Did anybody get this like almost entirely correct? Anybody get it all right? Everyone able to get all of them? Almost. Yes. Yep. Yepers. Almost. Dope. All right, folks. Let's keep going. If you're still not feeling 100% comfortable with this, entirely okay. We've only been doing it for 4, now 5 classes. That's totally okay. Come to office hours. All right. I want to look at the starter template real quick. So in the code for today, if we look, there is I'm going to close all of these. There is a lovely folder called template. And inside that template, there's some HTML, there's a JavaScript file for later on, and then there is a style sheet. This is my template that I would recommend that you would use whenever you want to start a new project. So you're going to do any of the homework. This is what I would use. You want to start something on your own, I would recommend starting with this. Any of the classwork that doesn't have starter code, you're going to start with this. And so the template just is a good place to start that has a lot of things for you already done. Okay. So let's go ahead and just step through it real quick and make sure we understand everything that's here. So we have pretty standard. We have an HTML tag with a lang preference. And so in this case, we have the lang en, which is short for English. It just kind of lets the browser and by extension, things like Google know what language to expect on this page, right? So there's en for English. There's also like en-uk for like British spellings. There are different letters for pretty much every language that's out there. Then we have the char set UTF-8, which is pretty much any character you could think of in any language that you can think of is probably in UTF-8. The description is what actually shows up when you go and like Google for something, like that little blurb that shows up about the site. That's the description. Keywords used to be super important when it came to things like search engine optimization. It was how search engines might know what your site was about, but then people exploited it. If they were selling dog food, they would put every type of breed of dog in here. They put every possible dog food. They put every possible piece of food in here. And the keywords were like thousands of lines long. Google saw this and said, boop, no longer works. And overnight, any site that was using that to rank fell in the search engines, right? So Google has this like cat and mouse game it plays where people try to break things and then they update. And then, so that's kind of what goes. Once the keywords here didn't count, Google switched to like keywords in the body counted. So what people would do is they would take their keywords and put them in the body and then style them with CSS as white so that you couldn't see them, right? They would be there for the search engine, but the humans couldn't see them. Ooh, with the stretching. Thank you, Rudy. I'm going to get a stretch in. Not that kind of stream, folks. So I'll be right. Oh. I just dropped the cover for the webcam. There we go. Be right back. Oh, yeah. Boom. That was a great stretch. Thank you. Dominoes. Dope. So, the one-up game that they did, they're like, all right, you want the keywords in the content? All right, we'll put keywords in the content, but that will be, they wrote it in white so you couldn't see it on the page. And then Google saw they were doing that and then one-upped them. And so there's always a little bit of a race, right? A little bit of a race to beat Google, and you'll see those changes. Here I have two different kinds of style sheets in here. I have normalize and reset. These are two style sheets that can be beneficial to get around the default styling, right? One of the very first things I showed you was the H1 being big, bold, black, and beautiful. And that was some default styling that came with the browser. Normalize and reset help you handle that default styling. What normalize does is it says, you know what? I like some of the default styling, but I want it to be consistent across all browsers. And then what reset does is it says, you know what, I hate all the default styling. Let's get rid of it all. We'll start from zero, and every single thing you have to style. So your spans are going to look exactly the same as your headings, right? So probably one of the first big decisions you're going to make as a developer right now is, do I use normalize? Do I use reset? Do I go without either? And the reason we put them before our actual style sheet is so that we can use them we can override the things in our own style sheet. So if we don't like what's happening in normalize, or we don't like what's happening in reset, you still have the option to override it in the cascade in your style sheet. Okay. And then down here, the bodies, we're going to put all of our content. And then for future use, there's a link to a JavaScript file. So that's just a kind of a quick overview of the template. Play around with it. There are also some goodies in the CSS. We saw the box model hack last class. And there's some other kind of just setup things for you just to maybe help keep some organization in your CSS. But I would recommend between now and next class on Tuesday that you come in, use the template, play with it a little bit, and start using it whenever you need to do a new project or lab work, etc. Cool. Dope. Alrighty, folks. Let's keep pushing. I want to be able to... We're at 2 hours and 36 minutes. I always try to hit that 3 hour mark. I think we're going to hit it. All right. Time for some layouts. So remember, for these layout exercises, we are using floats, right? We're using floats. Next week, we're going to move away from floats, moving into Flexbox and Grid. But for now, I want you to see the older way that we do it. You might inherit a code base that uses an older way of doing layout. And so you still want to kind of learn the basics. That way, you're not kind of lost if you ever do come across them in the wild. Also, I think they're a little bit easier to think about right out the gate. You just got to remember percentages, and it kind of just works. But yes, a lot of people hate them, but it's still important to know them. You're going to come across them for sure in the wild. All right. Remember, when you're floating content, the content wants to go up into a corner. So if you float content left, it's going to go up until it hits something, and to the left until it hits something. And you can utilize this for layout, because once things go up into the left, the next thing that goes up into the left bumps into the original thing, and eventually you can set things up horizontally by floating. Okay. All right. So let's code a simple layout. And here's the layout I want to code together. And then we'll do 2 and 3 on Saturday. So we're going to do 1 together, and then 2 and 3 we will do on Saturday, just for the sake of time. So layout 1, chat, what would you say this element is? What element would you say this is? Header. How about this element, chat, down here? How about that element, chat? Footer. I like that. How about all of these? What could these all be? Sections, right? We don't really have enough information to form like a really good semantic opinion, but we can say section for now. Cool. Let's go ahead and try coding this out. I'm going to go to my template. Haha, look at that. I'm going to go ahead and do a header. All right. And whenever I'm not putting stuff inside of stuff, I always like to do it on the same line. Then I have how many sections? I have 5 sections. All right. If we look, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. Nice. And so I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to paste it 4 more times. All right. So I have my 5 sections, and then I have my footer. Now, the way I'm going to decide to do this is I'm going to style all the sections the same except for these 2. So if I want to do a different style on just those 2 sections, what could I use? What could I use here? Class. I could use a class, right? Something that could be reused across multiple elements. So I'm going to give my class maybe the class of, let's see, class equals bottom, right? Just because I know that they're on the bottom. I don't like to use numbers or anything like that. So we're just going to say bottom for now. All right. So I have all my sections, and then I have 2 sections that are going to be different with this class of bottom. Seems good. Let's go to my CSS. We have the box model hacks. We don't have to worry about like borders or anything like that. I'm going to skip the layout section for right now. Actually, we'll do it here. So header, going to have a height. Let's do 100 pixels. Let's go ahead and do a border, 2 pixels, solid black, just so we can see it. And remember, the header and footer are exactly the same. So I'm just going to do comma, footer. And that will apply the code to both the header and footer, keeping our code base a little what? A little more what, chat? Our code base is going to be a little bit more this by doing that. Yeah, dry. Yeah, a little more dry. Cool. So let's save this real quick, see what we got going. Actually, let me open up the HTML file. Boom. All right, so we got our header and our footer. Nice. Let's go ahead and get our sections on the map as well. So let's go ahead and do section. Let's go ahead and give them a height of, let's say, 300 pixels. Let's just do, yeah, let's do 200 just so we can see them. 200 pixels. Let's go ahead and give them a width. I'm going to give them all the width of 33.333%. Repeating, of course. Leroy Jenkins. And then I'm going to go ahead and give them a border. Let's go ahead and keep it consistent. 2 pixels, solid black. Dope. And that's all I'm going to do for right now. I'm going to save it for right now. And let's see what happens in the browser. All right, so that's kind of what we expected to happen. We have our header, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, our 5 sections, and then the footer at the bottom, right? And I want them all to sit next to each other. So using the older way of doing this, how can I get them all to sit next to each other, chat? How can I get them to sit next to each other? Yeah, let's go ahead and do a float left. Now, if we were doing Flexbox, of course, it'd be different. So we're going to float them to the left. Let's save it and we refresh. And so we have a couple of them that want to sit next to each other. But then we have some issues up here with the footer sliding under. So let me go ahead and clear that footer. Let me even clear that footer. Clear both. Cool. Good job, chat. All right. So we're getting somewhere here. All right. Oh, this is weird. It has the Moz vendor prefix. Delete that, please. Get rid of that Moz vendor prefix. We don't need that anymore. Let's save that. Because if we look, they weren't sitting next to each other because the box model hack wasn't being applied. So that's why the 3 weren't sitting next to each other, because of that weird little Mozilla vendor prefix. Vendor prefixes are something interesting. I don't want to, let's cover them. We're going to cover them in a little bit later, like a little bit more next week. And we'll go over them in depth when we get to our animations class. That was just a mistake in the CSS file. So go ahead and remove that Moz. And it should work. We have the first 3 sitting next to each other, but then we have the bottom 2, right? So this, I removed that little Moz that was up here, that MOZ that was up there. Get rid of that. And so we still need our class, right? We have our header, our footer, our section. Let's go ahead and do our class of bottom. And the only thing I really need to do here is just change the width. Let's change the width to 50%. And the last 2 should sit next to each other. Let's go ahead and refresh. Boom, there we go. We have our header, we have our footer, we have our 3 lovely sections, and then our 2 bottom sections that are 50%. Dominoes. Second try. Cool. Can I use containers with floats? You can. But the idea is it's pretty simple, right? Like, people really demonize floats because there's a lot of weird tricks and gotchas, but it's pretty simple. We wanted these all sitting next to each other, so they were 33%. These 2 were wanted to be sitting next to each other by themselves, so they were 50%. We float them all to the left, and we just make sure our footer doesn't slide up. So there are definitely some like weird quirks and rules you have to follow, but I think the math portion of it's pretty straightforward, right? Just got to know your percentages, Make sure you have the correct box model hack, and you're all good. And as always, I'm going to share this code in Discord immediately when we're done. So you don't have to worry about kind of like frantically trying to code it out. Come back, revisit this code, rewatch me. Hey, future you, hope you're doing well. Rewatch this, and if you're having trouble, you can watch it back and follow along again. And then on Saturday, office hours, we're going to be going through these in so much detail, and we'll be doing the next two on Saturday. So come back on Saturday. We're going to go over these in more detail. I want to cover one more topic so that it can marinate in your brains before Tuesday. And that is the concept of responsiveness. Office hours are Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Cuban, I'll be back. Nice. And they'll be added to YouTube if you can't make the Saturday. No worries. And you don't have to like check in or anything. Yeah. Typically, office hours go 2 to 3 hours. It kind of depends on how many questions there are. Cool. And it'll be here on Twitch. All right. So about responsive sites. I like to use this example of a site that is horribly not responsive. All responsive means is that your site works well across multiple devices, right? You have a site that looks good on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, your mobile phone. And ideally, it's one code base that can respond as the device changes. Okay? Now, my favorite, like hilariously not responsive website was UPS's website. Oh no, I was going to have to refresh. UPS's website from like 2017. So this isn't like 10 years in the past. This isn't like 20 years ago. This is like 3 years ago. This is what UPS's website looked like. Yeah. April 2017. All right. This is UPS's website in April of 2017. Like what? No matter what you did, no matter what you did to your browser window, it was just bad. And we call this a fixed website. No matter if the browser size changes, it's not doing anything. It's not responding. It's not moving. It's staying fixed. So this is a fixed website. Compare this to something like Boston.com. Boston.com has a great responsive website. Let's look at it. As the window gets smaller, you're going to see some things change. Ready? Keep your eye. Boom. They got rid of that column. Let's make it a little bit smaller. The nav changed to have less items. Another column went away, and we can keep going. In fact, if we got it all the way to like small as a mobile phone, this goes to a singular column. So this website is responsive. As the viewport changes, like the width of the screen changes, it responds. And when we're talking about responsiveness, we're talking about two kind of things. We're talking about style changes, like things are changing in terms of style. And we're talking about content decisions. Like we saw with Boston.com, they removed certain columns. They got rid of some stuff that just wasn't important, right? Some things just go away as the viewport or the size of the screen changes. Now, this idea of responsiveness became a huge thing. It became really important because of one really important thing. Something fundamentally changed about the web that required sites to be responsive. Chat, what was that? Anybody have a guess? Yeah. Steve Jobs walked onto that podium and said iPhone, right? And the mobile explosion began. Of course, there are mobile phones before Steve Jobs, but the idea here is that mobile phones changed the game. Folks will be consuming, like if you think about Boston.com, Boston.com sells ads. So to make money, they need your eyeballs on those ads. And if you look in metro areas, The times when folks are probably checking the news, maybe when they're commuting, they're on the subway, they're on the T, right? And so if your news website does not work on a mobile device, you're losing out on eyeballs, which means you're losing out on the revenue you can make through ads. And so, so funny enough, Ethan is a mentor for Resilient Coders. He's always helping out our students, which is awesome. I love him. He's a great dude. So here we have, he started this whole responsiveness idea. So here we have this idea that, all right, well, we have modern devices that are of all different sizes. And so we want our sites to look good across all these different devices. We need to start thinking about how to make them responsive. So this is something I just want you to think about, like thinking about, all right, so far we haven't been concerned about like where our HTML will be rendered, like the size of the device. But now we got to start thinking about that because we want our sites to look good across tablets, desktops, mobile phones. And there's one really key thing that enables this to happen smoothly, and it's called a media query. A media query is a bit of CSS that typically goes at the bottom of your CSS file. And what it says is that this rule, this H1 being color blue, is only going to apply when the screen is between 0 and 600 pixels. So if the screen size is at 700 pixels, this rule does not apply. Just doesn't work. But once the screen is smaller than 600 pixels, this rule applies. So let's try it. Let's try building a simple media query into the layout that we just did. So I'm going to come down here. I'm just going to put my media query. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to get like 700 so we can see it on stream. And we're going to make the sections have a background of blue. So now what should happen is when the screen is between, so this just means, screen just means 0. So between 0 and 700 pixels, the background should be blue. Okay. So let's go ahead. Let's go back. Let's refresh. And watch what happens as I make this screen smaller. Boom. Dominoes, right? As soon as we got to 700 pixels, it went blue. Over 700 pixels, white. Under 700, blue. And so the cool thing here is we can start applying styles at specific widths, which is going to enable us to change styles as the screen gets smaller and make content decisions. Like, do we want that extra sidebar? Do we want those ads? Do we want those extra things? Well, now we have the power to get rid of them. We have the power to add or change based on the size. So if we are on a desktop versus a mobile phone, we can serve up a different experience. There you go, iJab. So much power. Cool. So like I said, I just want this to marinate in your mind. We just saw an example of it. And your homework is to make the 15 minutes of pain example from last class responsive. Go ahead and add a media query and see if you can make it responsive. What we want to do, like if this is our 15 minutes of pain right here, if we wanted to make this responsive, let's say we wanted to make this look good on mobile, well, we probably don't want these sections sitting next to each other. We probably want them stacking down the page and being full width. Okay. So what I want you to try before next class is, can you make this responsive? I'm only looking for one media query. Maybe start with color, but can you make these boxes stack on mobile devices? Okay. So that's the homework. See if you can make these stack on mobile devices. And you have a lot of reading. So due next Thursday, by next Thursday, I need you all to get through the advanced portion of Shayhow. Okay. So you did the beginner portion. Now I'm going to ask you to do the advanced portion. All right. Did the beginner. Now it's time for the advanced. And that's kind of the homework. This Saturday, we have our office hours, 12 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be here on Twitch. Would love to have you. We're going to spend more time going over this stuff, more time reviewing. So would love to have you then. It has been great having you this evening. Thank you for giving me your evening, for taking some time to learn, to push, to practice. So I would love, before we all leave, to do a raid. Let's send some positivity to somebody else. Send them some thank yous, give them some follows, wish them well in their evening. Remember, you get channel points when you raid. So let's go ahead and do a raid. I'm going to go ahead and raid somebody right now. It's been great having you all. See you all on Saturday. If you don't join office hours, I will see you all on Tuesday. All right, going to go ahead and do this raid now. Let me set it up. Give me 1 second. All right. Boom. All right. This person's doing some JavaScripts, it looks like. So let's go over there and send them some love. Starting the raid now. See you over there. Peace.